Hey, what's happening, you guys? This is the Proclivity Podcast. If you're joining us, that's because you have an interest in living a healthier and happier life. And that's what we do here at Proclivity. We do one thing very freaking well. We create those healthier bodies and happier lives by combining the benefits of metabolic flexibility along with practical mindset tools that will finally break you free from the mental and physical barriers that have been holding you back. Holding you back. The whole diet industry, $72 billion industry. We wonder why it doesn't work. Well, we know why it doesn't work. Because we're not making the connection. The connection is the gut and the brain. When you get those two together, you break away the imposter, the mental barriers that are keeping us from actually getting to the body and the healthy lifestyle we want to live. When we break that, man, things get real nice. Don't you agree? Real
nice. Yep. Got to have both.
Well, you don't have to have both. And actually, the diet industry doesn't want you to have both. They're just like, hey, we want you to keep coming around so that we get you to the new diet and the next thing and the next thing.
True. I mean, but when you have both, it's a whole nother level. You're like, wait, what? I could feel this way?
Yes. You can feel this way, man. It's so great. Welcome to the Proclivity Podcast. I am your host, Joel Cochran. This is Emily Rodella, the brains of this party and the looks of this party. Just
Thank you.
The total package. The total package. We are going to be closing up today on our 3-part series talking about how to travel like a pro. If you've been listening, we had episode 86 and 87. Those 2 episodes, we're talking about how to prepare to travel when you're going to travel, whether you're in an airplane or car. And then also, episode 87 was about when you travel, actually getting into the car, taking off, and getting to your destination. So when you're actually at your destination, what do you do? And then today, what we're going to talk about is coming back. This is, a lot of people don't travel like pros. They come back from their travels and they're like, oh my gosh, I need a vacation from my vacation. We hear it so often. That is no way to start your work week if you're going like, oh, I need a vacation. You just took a vacation. What kind of vacation did you take? So we're going to do a real quick recap. Just in case you didn't watch episode 86, and I said watch because we're on YouTube, check us out. All you got to do is go to Proclivity. You actually can see Emily and I. We got really good facial expressions. You can also listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Anywho, we're going to recap episode 86 and 87. Coach Emily, when it comes to preparing for travel, what was our top 3 tips?
Top 3 were planning your travel day, meaning have a plan for what you're going to be eating on travel day or fasting, right? Lots of options there. Number 2 was movement daily. So how are you going to get in movement on plan ahead for that, whether it be packing the right clothes, having a plan each morning, bringing all the right things, searching or seeking for certain environments where your house is going to be, all those things. And then number 3, shoot for at least 1 quality meal a day. So you at least have something there for you, because if we expect perfection, it's most likely not going to happen. We're going to let ourselves down.
Completely. And guys, it's super important when you're preparing to travel that you're prepared to move out of your environment and into a new environment. It's crazy. We can get on these aluminum tubes and shoot through the air at 30,000 feet all the way to a different time zone and a different place. So making sure that you're prepared to go into a different environment is important. And so those tips, that Emily said are awesome. And if you want to know more about it, head back to episode 86 where we really dive into it. Okay, so that's how to prepare. What about when it comes to the traveling itself, traveling and arriving at your location? What are our top 3 tips there?
Right. So prepare yourself and plan to be in a parasympathetic state, aka all the things that help you get there. Did you, packing on time, plan for a little bit more time upon your arrival to the airport, breathing exercises, not rushing things. So, can you start your trip in a parasympathetic state? Number 2, pay the premium. So, again, wherever you are staying, make sure you're paying for a place that works best for you. Whether if you are visiting family, get your own place if you sleep better that way, or get a place that has a kitchenette, right? All these different little things. And we go more in depth in the actual podcast there. But number 3, less is more. So when you're planning things, when you're doing things, don't plan to do 5 different events in one day or 3 even. Plan for 1 or 2 because we never know how long they're going to take. And we love spontaneity. So being able to do different things, when we see different things, jump in here, there, that allows us for that as well.
Yes. Man, it's like we want a break from our reality. This is one of the issues, right? If you feel like you need a break from your reality, you're not living your best day ever. I'm on vacation every single day. I freaking love my life. And this is one of the things that we work so hard on in the proclivity method is helping us change that mindset, get the language aligned with loving your body and loving your life. Yet a lot of people are wanting to get away from their life, and that's okay too, right? You want to change, you want something new, and that's totally cool. Yet sometimes, just like eating all you can eat sushi, your eyes are bigger than your stomach, right? You're like, oh, we can do this and that, and we can run across here and go across there and plan this. And then before you know it, man, you're exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
You're not sleeping so well, right? Because you're doing all these things. And so being really careful to plan your days accordingly, just like our day to day, we suggest you should have one big thing that you take care of each day. One thing. That's it. Imagine if you did one thing where you could pat your back at the end of the day and go, yeah, I got that done. Same thing when you're on your vacation. No different. What's the one thing you really want to do? Okay, do that. And then have some flexibility to go on a long walk or check out the sights or sit and relax. So when it comes to traveling, if you guys want more tips, head back to episode 87. That was a good one. We had fun there. And now we've prepared for our trip like a pro. We've traveled like a pro. Now it's coming back. You could prepare like a pro. You could travel like a pro. But if you don't come back like a pro, it'll leave that bad taste in your mouth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to dive in how to be able to come back from your travels and what that should look like. So, Coach Emily, I'm very curious. How do you come back? And I know that for both you and I, we've done it amazingly well at times, and we've done it horrifically poorly at other times.
Mm-hmm.
What have you found when it comes to coming back from vacation that works really well for you?
Yeah, the number one thing for me is the timing on when you plan to come back. Meaning, here's one example of how not to do it. You say you work a typical Monday through Friday, and you plan for your flight to be 7 p.m. on a Sunday night. Joel.
Okay.
We've both done it.
She's calling me out right now. Okay, folks, because for some reason, past Joel, in his last 2 times of traveling, decided to fly out in the evening, which is something I rarely ever do. But I flew out late from Denver, and I flew out real late from Virginia.
And this comes back to, in my head, why I've done it in the past. I'm like, oh, I get to spend more time wherever I'm at, right? Whether it be with family or in the spot. I'm like, oh, I have like at least a half a day if I fly later in the day, right? and or it's cheaper to fly at night. But again, this comes back to paying the premium, pay what works best for you and your health and your happiness. So I know when I come back last minute Sunday night, or just even later in the day on that day before work, it can feel like that icky feeling. Like, I have to put all my stuff away and then I have to go right to work tomorrow morning. And so the timing is the biggest piece here. So planning to have that space so you can have time to do laundry, go to the grocery store, whatever it is, to settle back in.
Right. Yeah. I can tell you that the times that, and here's the timing too as well. We talked about like actual timing of the day, yet we also want to think about the week, and ideally giving yourself a day of getting back in sync and recovering is essential. Now, there's two ways to do that. You can cut your trip just a little short, fly home, say, if you're doing a normal, like, hey, I'm Sunday to Sunday kind of stuff. You actually come home Saturday. You come home early. So you have an earlier flight out. You travel. You're getting used to being back in your time zone, back in the environment, back being home. And then you have all Sunday to be able to do what you need to do. Or, which is one of my faves, you actually take the day off.
Like on the Monday, right?
Like on a Monday. So you either fly back Sunday, or guess what, guys? I know this sounds crazy. Get crazy. I like getting crazy. You actually take the Monday off. So you fly home Saturday. You have Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. That gives you now a 4-day week, which is even a little more bonus. You're getting back to work, but you're having a 4-day week. If you haven't done it, it is a pro move. Give it a go.
Oh, yeah.
I promise you, it's going to feel super, super good. So we know the timing's super good. Is there anything else that you do? You're flying back home, right? We'll say that you flew home Saturday. Timing was great. You're getting back. Now what?
Yeah, a plan for meals or food prep in general, right? So for me, the easiest thing that I'd recommend for anyone is to have some backup options in your freezer that you can pull out right when you get home. Because you may not want to have a fully stocked fridge, right, when you leave for your trip. So that makes sense. It's going to be probably a little empty when you come home. So have some options. So for example, we keep sausages or say a chili or a frozen soup or something in our freezer. So we can pull it immediately out. If need be, we can heat it up on the stove, that kind of thing. Yet that's our first go-to. And or what the next step to that is, when are we going to the store, right? So having that plan, or, different options where you have a healthier meal to come to, so you're not going to In-N-Out or Taco Bell or whatever it is.
And do you have a particular like frozen food brand that we do suggest?
If you're doing like a frozen meal, like I buy, we have a backup meal option, Primal Kitchens. They have little meals in the freezer section at the store, and they're often on sale. So I'll buy a couple of them, throw them in the freezer for times like that, where last minute we don't have any food, we want something nutritious, we don't want to go eat out. So Primal Kitchens, they have a few, and they have a good amount of protein in them as well, which I like.
Yeah. And that's something to think of, guys. Before you're taking off and you're coming home, you're doing that. When you leave, you're doing it for your future self. Your future self that's coming in, right? That's tired from traveling, right? You have some edema because you're swollen. You're ready, just like, oh, I want to relax. Do the things for your future self, such as maybe you do cook a meal and you put it in the freezer. Maybe you do come home and you order something from Grateful Gardens or some organic restaurant. And yeah, you pay the premium of paying for the whole family. Maybe it's going to be $100, but you're paying for the whole family to have a really good meal that you can just have delivered, or you can go pick up and be able to have it at home. Make sure to be able to have those things, because again, we don't like saying this word, yet in society, people tend to say it. Remember, folks, I'm going to say this. A spell is a word or combination of words with great influence. People are like, what is this voodoo? What you say becomes your reality. What you say and what you focus on expands. And so if you say things like, oh man, I totally got off track during my vacation. What does that mean again? What track were you supposed to be on? What does that track look like? Tracks tend to be really straight. Is life straight? Is your body straight? No, it's super complex. And so we want to think we have to be on a rail. So we're either on or off, black or white. So we want to make sure, and I know this is a random tangent, but we want to make sure that we're careful with that language when we're coming back as well. And it helps when you have things already ready for you, such as your meals, such as your clothes maybe already cleaned, that you left the house already cleaned. So you're coming back to an environment where you're like, cool, right back into the flow. Okay, this is my environment. I know this environment feels super familiar. So think about that in terms of getting some meals before you leave. Now, I said something that I'm very curious on your take here, is that swelling or the edema. What happens with edema when we travel? And what we're talking about, guys, is that like swelling you feel in maybe your hands or feet. What happens there?
Well, at least in my experience, what that usually is coming from is the additional highly processed foods and or drinking and or additional sugar. And so we tend to get more, some people call it bloated or just fuller. And it's different from your norm. And you're like, oh, well, of course, there's also the addition of high elevation, right? When you're traveling too. So all those combination, usually on your way back, you'll notice it's worse than on your way there, especially if you followed our tips of, making sure our meals and our exercise routine, our hydration is all on point in the beginning. But again, when we have some more processed foods, we eat a little more in excess, our sleep, all the things start to get a little bit out of whack, which is totally normal, right? Then we'll have a little bit more swelling on the way back. And so this is where we do want to still stay very hydrated. Yet the sooner we can get back to whole foods, the better. And that's going to normalize out.
Exactly, guys. All that different carbohydrates, right? Because carbs itself need water, right? They take in water. So if we're doing highly processed carbs and then we're sitting for 5 hours on a plane, naturally there's going to be some swelling that happens, and it can be uncomfortable. And making sure that you get some movement, and this is why we say as soon as you get to your location when you are traveling, to go move. Is just important that when you come home that you move. And if you say like, oh man, I really don't want to move or go for a walk or, go for a short run or do anything like that, at least get your feet up.
I was just going to say, put them on the wall.
Put them on the wall, right? Lay on the floor, put your feet on the couch and just get in that L position and just go through just a short breath work. Use Headspace, 5 minutes, right? Simple and easy are not the same thing. Yet doing something simple like that can really help with that swelling, that blood flow, get things moving again. You might find that then all of a sudden you have to pee a lot because all of that swelling that was in the extremities is now getting flushed out. And that's a good thing. If you're peeing more often, that means you're flushing out that swelling or that edema. So make sure to think about that. Now, another thing I want to talk about here is I want to talk about supplementation. And we talked about traveling with our supplements. When we come back, is there any supplements that we want to be able to maybe take more of, or maybe if we didn't have to take, is there any supplements in your thought, in your professional opinion, when we come back?
There are some you can do. So say you travel fairly lightly with your supplements, you just have the basics like magnesium, vitamin D, that kind of thing. Then when you come back, especially if you weren't eating the normal way you eat, then yes, I would come back with some additional things like either a multivitamin or what we use for that is like a liver supplement, or perhaps some additional immune boosting supplements like vitamin C, some zinc to help really support your body. Yet you can bring that on your trip or just have a couple extra or boost yourself up with it when you come back. So again, taking a look at what you ate and do you need to supplement back with a few more multivitamin type things? and or your immune system boosters. So depending on how you travel with your supplements versus when you get home, yeah, something definitely to consider.
So being able to have some things like that elderberry that you might not take, the oregano oil, some things just to be able to cover your bases when you come back home is to be able to do a couple hits of that for the next couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah. So especially if you were on a plane for a long time around sick people, feeling perhaps that little point in your throat, like a little sore throat coming on. Yeah. The oregano is a go-to for me. Even if you don't feel that, if you want to do it as a precautionary, right? So a couple drops of the diluted oregano oil and some water swished around your mouth. Yeah. It's an easy go-to. Elderberry helps it. That I'll do that as a chaser to make it taste better.
And it's not like elderberry is like a super good taste either. Yet it's a lot better than oregano, because oregano oil I just take straight to the head. I just put it right underneath my tongue. The burn is real.
Oh, you do?
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I dilute
right underneath
with some
the
water. I don't recommend that, people who are listening.
Well, as you guys know, there's a yin and yang to this entire business partnership here. I'm the guy that's like, 75 hours not eating, let's go on a 10-mile run. Or let's try to do 405-pound deadlift. Or go ketosis and go for a 34-mile run. What? Yes, there should be just like a normal like disclaimer that we have on every single podcast. You be careful to listen to Joel. These are his personal experiences. He loves challenging his mind. And is a little cuckoo. Emily is much more sane. Listen to her. That's our disclaimer, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about the timing of being able to come back, some different supplementations to be able to make sure that, hey, we're boosting that immunity the best that we can. Having the appropriate meals is important. When we get back home, we've taken care of that. We're getting into now rolling into the next couple of days or into our work week. What are some best practices of getting back in to our work week?
Just getting back to that routine in the little things that you can do daily, such as, can you get to bed on time? Right. So all these things have a domino effect. If we can get to bed on time, we'll be waking up on time. And then we can get to whether you work out in the morning or you work in the morning or whatever it is your morning routine is, you can get straight back to that. Because sometimes it makes sense to perhaps sleep in a little bit, especially if you have a later flight. But ideally, we're getting to bed and getting up at the same time. Because if we're resting too much, then we could have, what happens sometimes is certain things can catch up to you, especially if you're go, and then all of a sudden you're just in bed for the next 12 hours, right? Or you wake up and you're just like relaxing full out the next day. That can cause an immune reaction too. So we want to be careful. We want to still move our body, eat the right foods, sleep, but just not too much relaxation. And again, as simple as getting back to your normal routine, which includes the things we already mentioned. Having food plans, whether it be you making your own, you pull it out from the freezer, you go to Grateful Gardens, and then back to your movement routine. Those are really so basic, yet so helpful.
Yeah. Super, super powerful, guys. Routine is so essential. And I was just talking, maybe I was talking to you about the other day, but my routine, what I've found with my routine, guys, there's a blog on our website about my routine. I'm a routine guy, right? Big time. And I have done many different routines from meditation to journaling to future casting to running to exercising first thing to all these different things. And one of the things that I have figured out is that I want my routine to be completely flexible. Flexible in no matter whether I'm at home, whether I'm traveling, whether I'm at a friend's house, family's house, hotel, doesn't matter. I can still have the same routine. And being able to make sure that your routine isn't too niche down, that you're unable to do it if you're not in the perfect environment, can get you back to that saying of, I fell off track. being able to have a routine that is simple and gets you moving is essential.
Mm-hmm.
And so if your routine is too much, right? You had this incredible routine. It was 45 minutes long, right? You meditated, you journaled, right? You wrote to your future self, right? You did 5,000 push-ups. You went for a half-mile run. You made the perfect cup of coffee, and it takes you an hour and a half to be able to go through your morning routine, and you're waking up at 4:30 to start it. Do you think that you're going to want to do that after you came back from vacation?
No.
I was asking you. Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
no.
No. Yeah, that's right. There's usually like a 3-second delay just with Emily in general.
That's fine.
You know, she's just thinking about it. She, you know, think slow. Okay. Speak slow.
Yeah, there you
act
go.
fast. Yep. Yep. No, you don't want a super complicated morning routine because it's so hard to be able to get it going again.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it niched down. I usually suggest nothing longer than 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes. That has flexibility in it, but it's 30 minutes to take care of yourself, to get you primed to get going. That's what a morning routine is about. So we know that morning routine and getting back a routine is super important. There's another thing that we didn't necessarily touch on is if you're traveling, say from East Coast to West Coast, we talked about it in episode 87 of how to get you connected with your environment, aka get yourself exposed to the sun, the environment, nature, feet in the ground. We want to do that same thing when we're coming back, right? What's the benefit of that?
Yeah, so especially if you're in a different time zone, it'll help reconnect your body's own circadian rhythm. So you can fall asleep better that night. So you can get back up in the morning the next day feeling more alert and ready to go. Because when we get back to wherever we are, we're back to, if we ground ourselves, it connects us back to that time zone. And so if you're grounding, right, with your feet in the dirt or the grass or whatever it is on the ground, that's ideal. We get our eyes in the sun, that will reconnect us again back to the time zone. And there are a couple other little things you can do to that, right? More controlled light exposure. So depending on where you're at, if you need to put on some orange blue light blocking glasses, or if you want to take melatonin for a night or two, that can be a good reset. Right. It's not something we recommend to have nightly, but again, when you're traveling different time zones, it can be a help little reset or booster. But those would be the main things is, get yourself outside, feet on the ground, eyes in the light, whatever light it is, even if it's cloudy, and then setting yourself up for that bedtime.
Yes. That's getting back in, right? We're talking about routines. You're actually picking the things. This is getting your body back into a routine, reconnected is super, super important.
And I'll mention one more thing, because I've known people who they'll go to a different time zone and they'll just go exactly to the same time zone, or, tune their habits to the time zone they're in. And they do they don't transition themselves. So for example, same with daylight savings. Like, well, it's 9 o'clock, so I'm going to bed at 9 o'clock, but tomorrow's daylight savings. It's like, well, you could for 5 days before that, adjust yourself 15 minutes at a time each night or morning. And you can ease your body into it. You could do the same on vacation too. So I know, for example, you, Joel, you would go more in tune with the time in Reno where we live, because you knew it was just temporary where you were. And that can make things easier on your body too, transition wise. Does that make sense?
It makes plenty of sense. I mean, it's one of the things, anytime I travel in the East Coast or a different time zone, I'm staying on West Coast time or Pacific time, which definitely changes. And this is dependent, you guys, if you're on a business trip and you need to be up at 7 o'clock, this is where being able to take maybe the melatonin earlier on can help to get you set in there. And if you're at a business seminar where you're going to have to be up at 7 o'clock every single morning, you're going to want to be able to get onto that East Coast time, or you're going to want to be able to schedule in naps where you're going to be able to nap in the day. And again, that's something that you need to structure into your day when you're traveling, is just go, cool guys, instead of, going and seeing the sights, I'm going to go take a quick 20, 30-minute nap. and be able to get myself re-energized to be able to get through the rest of the day. Because if you're going to bed at 12 and you're waking up at 5:30 to get ready for your business seminar, whew, that's going to be real tough after a couple of days. Yep. And so it's really important to be able to know what you're doing and how to schedule your days. And that's one of the things we talked about in episode 86 is preparing what your week is going to look like when you do travel. We want it to be like, oh, free. And there are no boundaries, which can be good. And we do suggest being able to take those random things, but to have some type of structure helps to be able to have the best possible experience and also coming back. And with that said, there's one other thing that I want to touch on. And it's a complete sentence, and it's a powerful sentence. What is that, Emily?
That complete sentence is no.
Boom. That's it. Y'all, being able to say no when you're coming back from vacation, you're getting resettled and restructured into your entire week. This is not the time to be able to go, oh, yeah, Susie, I'll come to your kid's birthday party. Or, yeah, let's have a party with all our friends on Friday night when you just got back on Sunday. No, ease back into doing all the different social stuff.
And or work stuff.
And or work stuff. Oh. Absolutely. This isn't the time to be able to come back in and be like, all right, I got to hit the ground running. And we talked about that in 86.
Right.
We have like, oh, I have to get all this work done before I go on vacation. And then I did nothing on vacation, didn't check an email or anything. And then I'm coming back and I feel completely slammed again. That's no way. You're creating a poor memory when you're creating that there's tension before and there's tension after. Like there's going to be a little part in the middle of that vacation where you're going to be able to relax. But the first 2 days, you're still going to be stressed out because you left all your work. And then the day you're about to come back, you're going to start thinking like, oh, shoot, I got to come back to work. If that's what your days are like, guys, we have other podcasts about how to manage your day. This is why the proclivity pyramid starts with structure, because we know that without structure, none of the techniques we teach will work. And being able to have that structure helps to be able to create the space to create the change. And so being able to say no, being able to stay in that parasympathetic state, recover both from work and personal is super important. Agreed?
Agreed.
So you guys, we're coming to the end of this 3-part series. It's kind of sad, huh? Yeah. This is our first 3-part series. Yet, I hope you guys really enjoy it. This is all going to be out for the holiday season. So really think about and go through these episodes and apply them. Apply them like a pro. Apply them like a pro. Yet before we close this out, as we always do, what are our top 3 when it comes to coming back from vacation, traveling like a pro?
Yeah. First and foremost, making sure you're creating that space for yourself when you do return. Whether it be 0 plans for the day, you come back a day early, or you take the next day off from work, making sure you have that space to come back to it in a parasympathetic state. So you're not in that go, or rushed feeling, or you're crammed on time, you don't get enough sleep, those kinds of things. Number 2, make sure you have a plan for your food. Whether it be, okay, yeah, when we get back that night, we are going to go to Grateful Gardens, but then I'm going to the grocery store first thing in the morning. Or we're going to the store when we get back in the afternoon. Or we're calling in a grocery delivery to be delivered to our house. Whatever that may be, have a plan for your food so it doesn't turn into, oh, we need to go to In-N-Out or McDonald's or any kind of fast food. And then number 3, back to your routine as soon as you can. So again, for me, it starts with, okay, how can I get to bed on time? So that next day it starts right back into that normal routine.
Boom. And as the mindset coach, be kind to yourself, guys. Don't let the imposter come in if you had a great time on vacation and you ate the foods and you had the fun, don't allow the imposter come in and start saying things like, oh, you're so off track, and this is why you'll never hit your goals, and oh, you deserve to feel this way. Oh, you listened to the podcast and you didn't do any of the things that Emily and Joel said for you to do. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. That is the imposter. If you don't know what the imposter is, and you're curious about the imposter, great. Reach out to us, www.proclivity.co. Book your 45-minute free clarity call with Emily and I. We'll tell you all about the imposter.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the reasons why our clients get such amazing results, lasting results. I've just talked to Allie. Okay, Allie was episode like 83 or something. Right?
83, 84, somewhere around there.
Cool. 83 or 84. And what Allie talked about was how the imposter in her mind told her that she needed to work out all the time and she wouldn't be fit enough, and she had to eat less and work out more, and she'd work out 2 hours a day and da 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 da. Well, she just got done running a half marathon, and she crushed it. And she's doing programming. We do very simple programming here at Proclivity, dumbbell based, consistent movement type of programming. Nothing crazy. Yet it was one of her fastest times, or her fastest half marathon time. She's run twice a week, guys. Not the 4 times she was doing, plus the 2 other classes, plus any of the additional work.
So nuts.
She feels better. Her body is acting better, obviously, because she's crushing her marathon times. Like, more is not more, guys. More is not more.
Shout out to you, Allie, for putting those things into practice.
Big time. Super consistent. It's awesome. And she works out 20 minutes a day. 20 minutes a day, guys. Imagine how less stress you have if your workout was done under 30 minutes. We got that too. If you want to do the dumbbell program, 30-day dumbbell program.
We do.
Reach out. It's free. You pop on, you work with literally Emily or I. Free. Come on. Are we the best or what?
I think so.
She's so kind. I do for sure. All right, guys. That is it for this episode. If you've liked this episode, please give us a review. It helps us tremendously. Just take a moment right now. Give us a review. Share it with somebody. Say, hey, I listen to this Proclivity podcast. They're rad. Listen to them. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. And of course, if you guys want to talk to us, head to our website. We got a ton of free resources on there. Blogs. You can get to our podcast from there. Just a bunch of cool stuff. Recipe pack just dropped.
November.
We give out recipe packs every single month. So that's it. Coach Emily, anything else?
No, that's it. Thanks, Joel.
All right, guys. Until we meet again.
Best day ever.
Best day ever. Let's go.